in early and save more in the Furniture Village sale. But hurry, early bird offers end Sunday.
Thousands of children being let down by the system and the toxic debate on transgender healthcare. A report looking into gender identity healthcare in England said that the results of studies had been exaggerated or misrepresented, and that people have been bullied and vilified by all sides on social media.
If a kid says, I want to transition, and help them transition socially, medically, whatever's the right step.
The NHS will now review all transgender healthcare for under 18s after concluding it is an area of remarkably weak evidence. Also tonight. The father who murdered his 4-week-old baby son is jailed for life. Ollie Davis suffered up to 10 days of horrific abuse before his death.
He should have had a chance to live, but he didn't. Him, his special little diamond. Sweetest boy you could ever meet.
The report from a migrant camp in Dunkirk, where there is a thriving business in people smuggling, and filmed French police apparently doing nothing to stop an attempted illegal crossing. Flaunting their cash, the benefits fraudsters who scammed 50 million out of the system. And how the PM's choice in trainers has become a fashion faux pas for one particular brand.
This is the ITV Evening News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good evening. A long-awaited report out has tonight shone a new light onto the difficult and often emotive questions surrounding young people with gender identity issues. The report by Dr. Hilary Cass was commissioned by NHS England after a major controversy blew up over gender care for children, a controversy which, the report says, quickly became exceptionally toxic. Her report says young people seeking gender treatment have been let down by remarkably weak evidence. Dr. Cass calls for a holistic approach to gender care and cases to be treated with extreme caution. Our social affairs correspondent Stacey Foster reports.
Steph feels like she was failed by the NHS as a child with gender dysphoria.
It's horrible.
And you're still trying to get over that?
Yeah, it's something that I feel has really impacted my life, When I think of all the pain I went through from the ages of 10, 14, until I got on hormones at age 19. And that was horrible, and to think that kids are forced into that now.
In 2020, the NHS ordered a review of gender services for children because of a sharp increase in the number of referrals. The review found children have been let down by a lack of evidence on medical interventions in gender care. It said healthcare professionals have been afraid to discuss their views, and it recommends gender services should operate to the same standards as other children's health services with a more holistic approach. The report author, Dr. Hilary Cass, says the debate has become toxic on all sides.
It's going to require us to really re-empower the workforce, the clinical workforce, to feel that they can see these young people without being fearful. And that has been a striking component of everything we've done, is just how afraid people are.
Anna's child will be an adult by the time they get an appointment. They're not currently in touch, but she welcomes a change in approach.
We need to make sure that the 17 to 25 age bracket isn't left behind. It's just even more important. There's so many children that have been let through the net, and they won't get the holistic approach that is needed.
The NHS has now stopped the routine use of puberty-suppressing hormones in children, but Steph believes that's potentially more damaging.
If a kid says, I want to stop puberty, then stop it. If a kid says, I want to transition, and help them transition socially, medically, whatever's the right steps, you should help them do that. You shouldn't say, okay, you're too young to know who you are.
There are now almost 5,000 young people on the waiting list for gender services in England. The Cass Review hopes that by the time they reach the front of the queue, the care will be much improved. But many of those with experience say the waiting is harmful. Stacey Foster, ITV News.
I'm joined now by our health correspondent, Rebecca Barry. Rebecca, what support is there for parents of young people who might be facing these kinds of issues?
Well, for the 5,000 children and young people who are still on waiting lists for gender clinics, this will continue to be a worrying time, and it's stressful too for their families who will be desperate to get their loved ones the support they need. Even the author of this report, Dr. Hilary Cass, said it was distressing that so many people were sitting on waiting lists, not knowing what was going to happen to them, not knowing where to go for information, and feeling really isolated. Now, there are two new centres, one run by Great Ormond Street Hospital in London and the other by Alderhay Children's Hospital in Liverpool, that have just opened to replace the single service that used to exist run by Tavistock and Portman NHS Trust. NHS England promises to open 8 of these specialist centres over the next 2 years, but as in many parts of the NHS, staff recruitment is a real challenge. They need specialist paediatricians, social workers, psychiatrists, and for these services to be successful, the author says that these services need to take a really holistic approach to look at both the children's physical and mental health. But more broadly, Dr. Hilary Cass says that there's a toxicity around this debate, and there's one quote that really struck me. She says we have to cut through the noise and the polarisation to recognise that these children need the same high standards of care as any other child or young person.
Yeah, okay, Rebecca, thank you.